Hello guys, and welcome to another discussion video, and today I will be discussing how Nintendo can improve in 2021 and beyond. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first major point we're gonna have to look into here is better communication with the fans and better treatment of the fans, because that's something that Nintendo really wasn't good about this year. So first of all, they really need to tell the fans if they have games or not. Show us like a Nintendo Direct if they do have games, and just say they don't have games if they don't have any games. Because right now, we only know about the Monster Hunter Rise and the other Monster Hunter game and 3D World Plus, and not much else. Most of them are third-party exclusives, which is still good, but we need to know what the first-party exclusives are for 2021. And another thing they need to do is actually listen to the fans. And, listen to them and, for example, what I was just saying, fans are wanting Nintendo to tell them if they have games or not. And that's how they could listen to the fans, by providing more communication with us and actually kind of doing stuff. For example, another example here is Joycons and Joycon drift. I know Nintendo may start to look into that, some of the things that Doug Bowser said might just, it's very vague, but they might be looking into it. But they really need to hear us more. They really need to hear that many people have these problems with Joy-Cons, and they need to fix it. And that's, yeah, I feel like Nintendo, throughout history, sometimes they've listened to fans with different things, but not always, and I feel like Nintendo is on the side where they don't really listen to fans that much, but I really think they should improve on that, because there is instances where Nintendo actually did listen to fans, and it worked out. And the next thing is, instead of shutting down tournaments, they should provide more options for people. If Melee isn't even sold to people, and it's being shut down because, the only way people could play it online is through mods. That's not really a good thing, since people don't necessarily have a safe way of playing Melee right now. So Nintendo should provide, a version of Melee that people can actually play on the Nintendo Switch. And maybe even the PC, too, through Nintendo's own thing. I don't think they could put it on Steam. I know a lot of people have been saying that they could put Melee on Steam. I think if they were going to do it through the PC, they'd just have it as a separate release. So, Switch and PC, that could be possible, so people would have the option to do it, and instead of shutting down all of these tournaments. And another thing kind of linked to that is provide more for the esports community, because some of their games like Smash and Splatoon are very big, and they're starting to grow with esports and everything, and some of them have been around for a long time, especially Smash Bros. And I feel like Nintendo should provide more by letting people actually get prizes for some of their games, and with money and everything. And they should actually let people do legitimate tournaments and stuff like that for these games, and not just restrict it. I really think they should support that more. I feel like they kind of started to do more support of it into the beginning of the Switch era, but they really are kind of stagnant on it. They really haven't improved. So I really think they should improve more on the esports community and everything like that, because that's another thing they could do with helping the fans. And the final thing, as a part of this major point I have, is improving Nintendo Switch Online. Well, it's technically kind of a part of this, since it kind of has to do with Smash, Mario Kart, or any of the other games linked with it. And I'm gonna get into later with adding retro games to it, but I really think they should improve the service as a whole, have dedicated servers and stuff like that, so the peer-to-peer connection really doesn't work for games like Smash Bros. And it would really be helpful if they would have actual servers and stuff like that that people could connect to, kind of the other online games and stuff like that. That really has to be something that Nintendo should do, and I feel like Nintendo's 10 years behind with that. and they should really fix it. And the next major point I have is more games and products. I know it's been 2020 and things have been crazy this year, but that shouldn't give Nintendo an excuse to ride on the sales of Animal Crossing. Yes, I love Animal Crossing, but they should really make more games. So, I feel like some of the potential late 2020 games that Nintendo just held back, I mean, some of them they obviously couldn't release, but I feel like Nintendo could have released more games this year, but I feel like some of the late 2020 games could be happening in early 2021, especially because of the rumors of the Switch Pro happening. Like, people need games to go with the Switch Pro, so it's likely that more games could come out around that time. It's not for certain that the Switch Pro would happen, but it's definitely possible, and it makes sense that it would come out next year. And that's another thing, yeah, the Switch Pro should happen next year. That, like, even though it's not confirmed or anything, I really hope it happens, because, like, I feel like for third-party developers, they can't really develop next-gen games on the Nintendo Switch. And if we get a more powerful Switch that's capable of upscaling to 4K and has more processing power and has like a 1080p dock and 60 FPS for 1080p games, I feel like that would be good enough to run some next-gen games. And the current-gen games would run in 1080p 60 FPS, or well, the last-gen, I should say. Well, current-gen for the Nintendo Switch, last-gen for the other consoles. So, yeah, I really think that should, that should hopefully happen next year. And one more thing connected to the NSO again, they should add more retro games other than the NES and SNES so people can have more access to retro games and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of people who don't really have access to, especially GameCube games. Because GameCube games have never been re-released before, with the exception of Wind Waker HD, well, that was a remake, and Sunshine on 3D All-Stars. Most of the other games haven't been re-released. There was the Wii re-releases, but you can play GameCube games on Wii, so that doesn't really count. But I really think GameCube games should definitely come to Switch, along with Game Boy, GBA, Nintendo 64. I'm surprised we haven't gotten Nintendo 64 yet, and also DS and Wii, too. I feel like Wii games are old enough to be ported onto the Switch as virtual console games, or on the Nintendo Switch Online, because, like, back when the Wii came out, they had Nintendo 64 games on there, and the Nintendo 64 was only discontinued a couple years before the Wii came out, so I feel like the Wii is overdue for having, like, retro games come to the system, kind of like the GameCube. So anyways, that is some of the ideas that I have that Nintendo can improve in 2021 and beyond. Let me know what your ideas are for Nintendo and everything like that. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye!